You are listening to episode number 52 with Kaylyn Gill.
If you're someone who wants to make major changes in their life, someone who wants to achieve their goals, or maybe you're someone who knows this is not as good as it gets, but you have no idea where to start. On the Reinvent You podcast, we explore different types of people, their successes and failures, and how they reinvented themselves to create the life they love. It's our hope that from hearing their stories that you too may have more insight into what it takes to build the life that you envision for yourselves. Here to help you do that is performance and life coach Travius Stewart.
Today on the Reinvent You podcast, we are answering the question, how to thrive when you are the sole Black woman in an all-white, male-dominated firehouse. My guest today is Firefighter Kaylyn Gill, who's been on the force for 21 years and is a 21-year resident in Arizona. In this episode, we talk from things about like overcoming adversity. Kaylyn shares with us one of her most pivotal moments that has shaped and molded her into the person that she is today. We also talk about the impact that her parents have had on her. We talk about the ingredient that Kaylyn thinks most people need in order to flourish in life. You know, like what separates one person from the next when someone finds success and the next person doesn't. You know, we talk about her next chapter in her life as she begins to wind down this career. We talk about some of the discrimination that she faced as a female Black firefighter. And we also talk about the person she is today and how she intentionally created the life that she's living today that gets her excited to get out of bed every single day, no matter what day of the week it is. So, welcome to the Reinvent You podcast. My guest, Kaylyn Gill. Here we are with my girl, Mesa resident, 21-year Mesa resident, 21-year firefighter, Miss Kaylyn Gill. Kaylyn, welcome to the Reinvent You podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I think my audience is really in for a treat, especially who? The homies. Kaylyn, how's it going today? Introduce yourself to my people and give us a little bit of context as to who else you are except what I just said.
Trey, I want to thank you, and I'm very humbled to be a part of this. Thank you so much. I've watched a couple of your other podcasts, and I hope I can live up to the occasion. I'm Kaylyn. Some of my friends have nicknamed me K-Mo.
Okay.
I'm a regular woman living out here in Arizona. I am a 21-year firefighter. That's a big part of who I am, but I'm also the daughter of Betty and Patrick Gill. Just recently lost it's important to me because that's a big part of who I am. And I think as I've gotten older, I've realized how important they've been in my life. I have tons of friends out here. Like you said, I lived here for 21 years. I've got a lot of colleagues on the department. I love to, chill, hang out and just live life, have fun. Nothing more, nothing less.
I love that. What would you say, like your closest friends, your coworkers, how would they describe you?
I'm always curious of that myself, but I think knowing we have some friends in common, as you know, and if we ask them, they'd be like, Kaylyn's cool. Kaylyn's cool.
Right.
I have some friends that say I'm a little quirky. I have friends that say I'm lighthearted. I hope that they say that I'm loyal and I'm there for them. Fun, I think is what they would say. I think sometimes, you meet your friends out and hang out so they don't get to know the like you when you're by yourself and quiet. But I know myself as being, when I'm home alone, I enjoy that time. So not one of my friends would describe me as an extrovert, but I consider myself as much an introvert as I am an extrovert.
Ooh, I love that. So when I think of Kaylyn, what I would say about you is that you are really confident. I feel like you're confident in who you are. I do. I think when you enter a room, you command the attention in a room, which I know that's going to help you with your speaking as well. But so when we talk about the confident Kaylyn, right? Because we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, where do you think that's a gap? Because, truth be told, I'm one person with the homies. I'm one person with my
Hmm.
coaching clients. I'm
Right.
right,
Right.
right. How wide is your gap? Like, who are you? Like, have you ever like? And the reason why I ask that is because I've been on a mission to merge all of those identities so that I'm the same person no matter who I'm with. How wide is your gap?
Hmm. Wow. I've never thought about that in that way. My gap
Mm-hmm.
would be very wide then, because I'm one person when I'm a daughter and around my family.
Yeah,
I notice I watch my mouth uh, a little bit more in that I don't cuss as much.
of
But when I
course.
go to work, I don't know if it's in the culture of being a firefighter. I probably curse more than I should. My jokes are a little bit more off colored.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to not censor myself, but I have to be able to get along with different types of people. There's other women, there's white males, there's black males, there's captains, there's engineers, there's uh, we're working with all different types of people. There's the public that
Mm-hmm.
I contend with, that I have a different quote unquote face for. When I'm talking to young kids, um, I find myself being more of a motivator to them. But when I'm sitting with my friends and we're meeting at the pool hall to have some drinks, I'm not motivating anyone there. I'm hanging out and
Right.
enjoying their company. So um, you're right. There are a bunch of different faces. With my
Mm-hmm.
friends, I'm more relaxed. At work, I'm relaxed, but I'm maybe blocked off a little bit more. I don't know. Like
Right.
they know me, but they don't know the intimate Kaylyn.
Right.
So
And the reason why I asked that question again is because I go through and I do the same thing, right? But part of my coaching is aligning your true authentic self with who
okay.
you were meant to be. And so I always feel like when we hide a certain part of who we are, because these people will say, oh, that's corny, or these people will say, oh, you're a know it all.
Yeah.
I feel like you're
Hmm.
putting on five, per se, different masks every time you hang around different people. So that's why it's been important for me to try to merge those things because the people that are in my inner circle that are close to me, I want them to know all
Hmm.
sides of me.
All of
And
you.
I don't want to feel like I have to go, like when the homie has a party, I'm like, it's party tray night, baby. It's time to perform, right? And I've been doing a better job of trying to merge, it's not always just about that. So that's why I asked that question. What would you say the challenge would be to Kaylyn to start merging some of those identities?
Well, I was going to ask you a question about for you personally, Trey.
Yeah,
Um, if you work, let's say you work in a corporate office,
right.
or let's say you're a firefighter, or whatever your profession is, you will have an identity outside of work, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can't always bring that same identity or merge all of those parts of yourself and present it at work. It's not always acceptable. It may, people may be turned off by it. Some may be hyped. They view you differently. So sometimes I don't think that's always possible. I think you
Right.
can still be your true self. You can be true to yourself. And thank you for feeling like when I come into a room, I command myself and that I'm competent. That probably comes with just like age and upbringing. And, I don't really know. I've never thought about that. But the way that I present myself I am with my friends, I may not be so much in may not be that way with at work. Like
Mhm.
with you guys, I may break out in song for no reason, singing an
Right.
oldie but goodie.
Right,
But I'm
right,
not gonna
right.
walk into I'll walk into Vicky's house, our mutual friend, be invited and break out in with a singing Diana Ross. But when I walk into work, I'm not necessarily gonna do that.
Right.
So
I get that. I get that. And so many times, because, I coach on this, so many times we don't do those things because we're allowing those external factors to control who we are. So is it that
right.
we're going, they're going to think blank of me if I break out with Aretha Franklin? That's not the person I am around them. So why would I do that? Because they're going to think this. So it's our thoughts that are creating and,
It is.
that's stopping us from being truly aligned. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. And what do you think is the benefit of being quote unquote truly aligned?
I think the benefit,
Maybe.
in my personal experience, I think the benefit is just being truthful and being the
Okay.
person that you were meant to be. And I feel
Okay.
like, for my whole life, I've fought acceptance, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like if I'm this person over here with one group of friends, then I can't be my full self. So I feel like they're not accepting me fully. But those are thoughts that
Okay.
I've created. So in
Uh-huh.
merging, I want to feel like 100% I am fully accepted, I'm loved, I'm valued for every part of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's
And
important to
and I
me.
and for that to happen, and when we talk about this topic, I think specifically about a conversation I just had with a colleague of mine, a
Hmm.
young Black guy
Right.
that has probably been on this department for 2 years. And we were having a conversation, and he said one thing he didn't understand about, he's from Watts. He's from Watts,
Okay. Right,
LA.
right, right.
Inner city kid. I love the way he presents himself,
Hmm.
um and everything like that. I love his demeanor. He got hired. He's doing a great job, no problems, but he struggles with what he calls two-facedness, and he
Mm.
believes that he has these brothers. We call each other like we're family on the fire
Right,
department.
right.
That's the culture of the fire department. This is your family. We have each
Hmm.
other's backs. When we go into fires together, and we don't leave that house fire until all of us are
Right.
coming out of that house. If something happens to one of our family members, we rally around them. We have guys that have come down with cancer. We stop by their house, mow their lawns. We bring dinners to help the family while that person is, fighting with their illness.
Hmm.
So he said, when from where I'm from, if you say you're my brother, and I have your back 100%. He
Yeah.
had a situation where he told a couple of his classmates, the guys he was hired with, some things, or they had a performance issue or something like that. Basically, they turned on him.
Hmm.
And instead of coming to him directly, they told supervisors or something like that. And it's something minor, like a performance issue or something like that, that we all
Hmm.
have and you get past. Um, he goes, Kay, what I'm not used to is why didn't they just tell me? They said they're my brothers.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's what we got started talking about, how few of us there are, and they are your brothers, they are your colleagues. I do believe that,
Hmm.
but I feel like you still have to protect yourself. Like, whatever it was that he shared with them that he didn't feel like he was able to accomplish well, that he needed more assistance with, and he didn't mean for it to go further.
Hmm.
Um, he was just super disappointed in
Right.
that. And and my point is that he felt it was a him and a them, whereas prior to that, he thought it was brothers
We
and
and
we're
us.
family and
Yeah.
we and us. And he was disappointed in that. And my thing is, you just have to be able to maneuver being a part of we and us, but understanding there's still a you,
For
and
you.
you can still be true to yourself, but just kind of be wary of where the line stops.
Right.
Learn people, watch people,
Of course.
just like you do with friends, I guess,
Yeah,
anybody in
yeah,
life.
yeah. So let's go a little further with, I know that you are the only Black female in at your, would you say fire station? Is it firehouse? I watch Station 19, so they call it firehouse a lot.
It's a fire station or firehouse.
Okay,
And yes,
perfect.
there's 427 sworn firefighters in Mesa,
Oh,
and I'm the only Black female.
that is
Yes.
unheard of. That's so crazy. And so, you know, we all know that we're probably not the biggest fans of our last president, 45,
Right.
I saw family members, I saw friends change in the blink of an eye because they were emboldened to speak their true mind. Being the only Black female firefighter at your station, have you felt like you've always been treated fairly? Have you been, always involved in the conversation when you're talking about we're a team? Or have you always felt supported where you're not the only one in the fire and the people are like, oh, let's leave her in there, that kind of thing? How is
Uh-huh.
that, especially talk, if there's a difference between pre 45 and post 45, talk to that as well on how you're treated.
Okay. First of all, the answer to that is yes and no. Um, about how I'm treated as a Black woman on the
Mhm.
department. And the first and only. When I was, now let's also understand that once 45 became in office, I feel like it emboldened those people that don't like people of color to speak their mind, speak it freely, and without be unapologetic about it. Like they
Yeah.
said what they, however they felt, and they carried themselves in that
Mm-hmm.
way. When I first came onto the department, there was a gentleman that I promise you, he's since retired. He was the chief of the training department. So he was over our training. I promise you, he voted for President Trump, which is a-okay if that's what he believed in. But this was
Right,
20
right.
years ago.
Mm-hmm.
21 years ago, I'm hired on. Um, a bunch of us were having problems getting to work on time. So it was me and maybe four other people. The second time that I came in late, walked in late with another person, in fact, another guy. Um, we were individually called to the office, and the chief said, Kaylyn, the training officer said, Kaylyn, don't be late again. Why were you late? And I was like, I overslept. And keep in mind, I was in my early 20s. We don't need to go into my age either. That's another thing I should have put on the form. Let's not talk about my age.
We
That's
will not
personal.
talk about your
But
age.
anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I was younger and not aloof, but aloof. You're supposed to get to it. The
Yeah.
least you can do. If someone
Right.
has hired you for a job, show up on time.
Show up.
So I
Right.
show up late, yes. And they told me, don't be late again. And I was like, okay, I need to get myself together. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not worried about the other people that have come in late until this. They send me back out there. Send me back out to the field where everyone's already involved in our activities for the day. And then the chief calls me individually, Kaylyn, and waves me over. We sit in his office. He has some papers. He slides them across the table, and he looks just he looks happy as all get out. He said, "You are fired."
Oh
And I
shit.
was like, I'm fired? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, really? And my pride overcame me because this was an old. He was probably 60 years old. First of all, they weren't too fond of women on the Mesa Fire Department. I can't imagine what our fire chief, Mary Camelli, with 37 years on this department, went through when she first got on. But I'm also Black, and I'm the first Black person they've seen come through, first Black woman they've seen come through. So that's a double whammy. I proudly signed the paperwork and walked myself right back out to the parking lot and drove home. Um,
Wow.
my inspiration for becoming a firefighter was a friend of mine who just retired a couple of years ago from the Phoenix Fire Department. She was new on her career. I called her and told her what happened. She's the one that helped me get ready to test with Mesa. I got
Mm-hmm.
on, it was a success. She's also Black female. She was told me, Kaylyn, they will be calling you. They don't understand what they've done. I don't believe he made that step I didn't have any paperwork to substantiate that I was a problem there. I hadn't been written up for being late. There was no paper trail on my activities.
Mm-hmm.
And being the nerd that I was, I had great scores in the academy. So there was no paperwork on
Right.
me. So she was like, they have just fired the first Black woman in the department. And I told her, well, so and so walked in late with me and
Right.
nothing happened to him. And she goes, they'll be calling you back. And true to what she said, they called me back 3 or 4 days later and
Mm-hmm.
insisted I hadn't been fired. And I was like, I have a copy of paperwork says
I'm
been released.
I'm reading it
Yeah,
right
and I'm
now.
on my and I'm on my way to my other job. So they asked me to come back in. Um, and we made a deal. Um, that they would send me to EMT school. Back then, you needed to eventually get EMT certified.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would start again in the next academy. And I went with that, Lisa, and I thank her to this day, because now 3 years and some change from retirement, from being done completely. Best decision I ever made, best advice I ever got. Lisa Jones said, whatever you do when you go into this meeting, get your job back. And I did. I was very agreeable. They had human resources, the main fire chief, all types of white shirts in there. We had a discussion, and here we are. So I had that incident, and I am going to be straight up tell you that had everything to do with the fact that I'm Black, and everything to do with the fact that I'm a woman.
Right.
As a rookie, I walked into Fire Stations Trey. There was notorious Station 8, old guys. There's an airport out there. It's a slower station, so that's where old guys would go to do their jobs, and it was less strenuous.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in. I was working overtime and said good morning to the guys at the station. If you're the rookie, the booter, as they call it, then you go to work. You say good morning, and you start mopping floors, cleaning bathrooms, wiping the truck down, checking equipment. And I was ready to do that, but I walked in, said good morning, everyone. How are you? Introduced myself. They're reading the newspaper, and this is literally what happened.
Oh.
Back to their newspapers, roll their eyes. And I got to know those guys a little bit further down my career, and that was motivated because of my color as I've gotten to know them. So you have all kinds at work, and as you go through life, and you can't believe it's happening though, like in the 2000s we're in, like there's still people that can dislike you for the color of your skin.
Like we're back in the 60s, right?
Right.
So I want to go back a little bit to something you said a few minutes ago. What did it look like when you said you went in there, you were very agreeable, you got your job back? Because, we can always assume that, oh, she just sold her soul. Or like, what did that look like?
Okay. What it looked like is the way I was raised, it doesn't matter that Billy, Trevor, John also came in late. I came in late. So I have been taught by my parents, who have been very pivotal in who I am. Yeah. Be accountable for what you did. If you did it, then you are responsible for the consequences.
There we go.
So I went in with that, knowing that I should not have been let go if they also weren't let go.
Right.
So they asked me why I was late again in the meeting, and I said, because I overslept. Mm-hmm. And they asked me, were you aware of the rules that were introduced to you on day one of the academy, that you are to show up on time at your desk and prepared to go? I said, yes, I am aware of that rule. Their problem as a city is that they didn't have any documentation, any paperwork where I had been written up or counseled or anything like that. They just have a document that says, we fired this woman.
Right.
So what they did have to lean on, Trey, was, okay, maybe you are exhausted, Kaylyn, because of all of the stress that you're going through because of the accident that I had. 2 weeks before going into the fire academy, I was driving and had an accident that resulted in a young kid being killed. Wow. He was running across the street with his friend. Cars were, it was really dark. There was construction in the area. All the street lights were out. All of these construction signs. There was a Circle K on the north side of the street. Its lights were casting shadows everywhere. These boys were mid-block. There was a traffic light probably 100 yards ahead, but they were mid-block trying to cut across the street to a field, presumably so they could get back home. The car ahead of me started swerve. So I'm thinking it's 10 o'clock at night. They're probably drunk. I'm looking ahead at the car, and I'm looking at the green traffic light. And I'm like, I need to get around them and be on my way. Never would I have imagined that there'd be pedestrians in the street. Mm-hmm. So there was two at the median. One of them darted out in front of that car that swerved out, and then in front of me. I had no time to react. I remember all in a split second seeing right to the left of me, his friend holding a white paper bag, his Circle K bag, and then it's so crazy. It's like all probably in less than a second. It's a split second. I see his friend right there in the left quarter panel of my car. I see him. I see his friend. I'm like, no. In my mind, I hit my brake, but it was too late. I just did not have time to make any sort of evasive maneuver. I hear a thud. My Jeep comes to a stop, and his limp body is like almost to the intersection.
Wow.
And his limbs were turned every which direction. I get out of my Jeep. It was a 4-speed at the time, so it had died. I looked like we're all just speechless. A couple of cars had stopped. This is like immediately after the impact. I look at his friend. He's like the same color as that white paper bag he was holding, and he's frozen stuck. And my eyes are big. And I walk over to his friend that I hit, and I know immediately that he's dead. And I'm shaking. And at the time, this is like 2000, March of 2000. So the anniversary of it was just last month.
Wow.
I have a flip phone, but you don't know what to do. You're just like frozen. The car ahead of me that swerved to miss him stopped. And the lady got out and she just grabbed me and hugged me and she said, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault." And she must have told her husband to call 911. There was a fire station. This was in Ahwatukee, less than half a mile away. They showed up, and then it was just a freaking blur. I'm just watching things unravel. The firefighters are getting there, and it's so crazy because this is going to be my life for the next 20 years, I think. But I didn't know what was going to happen. I've never been in any sort of trouble or had any incident like this with law enforcement. Okay, so everything's happening. The detective comes to me. We're talking. This kid's mother shows up, and I hear her scream, and it's a scream I've heard so many times over 20, 21 years. She screamed bloody murder, and it's been 21 years since this accident, and I'll never forget it. And he took me in his car, asked me some questions. I went home that night, couldn't sleep. And then I called my parents the next day and told them what happened. And for a whole year, they investigated this. I had to hire an attorney to defend myself because I didn't know what was going to happen from there. And basically I was on the line for vehicular manslaughter. And I had grief, I had guilt. Why did I have to go out at that time? What could I have done differently? And then I was angry because I was just starting my new career. I gave that attorney every dime that I had, which was $5,000. At the end of it, he said, obviously it was, my slate was wiped clean. I was deemed not at fault. That attorney was like, "Kid, you have your whole life ahead of you." He goes, "Forget about the rest." He goes, "I'm glad I was able to help you." So that was it.
Kaylyn, that, like, just hearing you tell that story is so impactful, and I can imagine it's been 21 years mentally, emotionally. I know it's something that you never get over, but how long, like, I can't imagine you were able to tell me that story like you just told me, 20 years ago.
Oh gosh.
What was that process like with you coming to terms of, because, I've never taken another life, but if what I can imagine in taking another life is like, oh my God, like you said, what could I have done differently? What could I have changed? Why is my life worth living? And, just all those things in which I'm sure you fought through some demons. And how long did it take you to walk through that adversity and go, okay, emotionally, I think I'm okay now?
I think in any grieving process, there isn't a definitive how long. You just learn how to manage it. Like I mentioned, I like all of us, eventually we'll lose a parent. I lost a parent. I don't think I'm ever going to get over it, but I'll learn how to
Oh.
manage the grief.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for that kid. He was 14, so he would have been 35 last month.
Yeah.
I think about him. I think about him every year. And it's just, you become manageable. I wondered why me. And I'm one of those people, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, and I believe like it is not that it's supposed to happen. I don't believe that,
Mm-hmm.
but things happen because that's life and it makes you stronger.
Right.
You have to be able to learn how to gain strength from it or to pull something positive from it.
I love that.
So what it did for me is make me believe in my own strength that I can get past it. I am comfortable in the fact that I know it was not my fault. It didn't happen to me. It could have been the car behind me.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been the car ahead of me that swerved. It could have happened to any of us. But fate saw it that Kaylyn was strong enough to handle it. Guess what? She's going to be handling it because I'm going to see that every other day for the next 20 years, 25 years. And it's given me a more, when you go through things that are hard and then you see someone else go through it,
mm-hmm.
it gives you a level of compassion that will help the next person. And
Absolutely. Thank
so
you.
that's it.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, I mean, because, some people are like, it's hard to talk about those things, but I know that that's something that's so valuable and it's so pivotal in your life. So, I was so sorry to hear about your dad and his sudden passing.
Oh, thank you.
And you speak, you opened up talking about the impact that they had on you. I feel like they're, because social circumstances based on how we were raised, I 100% believe that who we are today is because of our conditioning, direct result of our conditioning, our environment, all of those things, whether it's you're doing the exact thing or you're doing the opposite, but there's motivation. You speak so highly about the impact of your parents. How did your parents instill, integrate, implement things that you are living with today? How did they help Kaylyn become the Kaylyn we see today?
I'm with you, Trey. I believe your parents and your upbringing are so influential in who you become. And it seems like the older I get, the more I appreciate that and I just get it. I don't know that I've ever like kind of verbalized how, but one thing I'm so grateful to both my mom and dad. They just set me up right for a good life.
Mm-hmm.
And but I still think I think I'm fortunate in that he was so driven to get his education, to get gainful employment,
right,
and to raise his family and take care of his family. And it just rubbed off on me for some reason. It's just, I don't know if it becomes genetic and environmental or what, but I went to high school, I graduated top of my class, and then because of where I grew up and because of who my parents were, it's really no discussion. After high school, it's college. I mean, for everyone. So I went to college, and lo and behold, I became a firefighter. Now that's the loop that I threw my dad, who grew up in a generation where women weren't firefighters.
Right.
And he paid for this nice education, and then that's what I chose to do. But I don't know. I think that's a hard question to answer, because I believe your upbringing has an effect on how much confidence you have in yourself, how much you believe in yourself, how much you think you can achieve.
Yes.
And it's super important. And then it like trickles over. At my dad's funeral, I thought it was so sweet. My brother spoke, and he said one thing my dad said was, "You take care of your family." And I presume that's because he took care of us. And my brother spoke to my dad and said, "That's what I'm going to do." And he is the replica of my dad. He is taking care of his family. He's got a good job
Yeah.
that he goes to every day. He hasn't missed a day of work. Those types of that work ethic is there. So that's super important. And then like being kind, I think I have the kindest mother one could ever have. Kind, warm, compassionate, caring. And I know I have those traits.
Yeah.
I was also raised to be super humble. So you can see that was hard for me to say I have those traits, but I do. I'm
Yeah.
a kind
Yeah.
person.
You are a
So,
kind person. You are. And I feel, because I can attest to the fact that whenever you and I converse, like right now, I know it's just the two of us, but I always feel like I'm the most important person in the room when I'm speaking with
oh,
you. Yeah. So, I mean, that's, yeah.
I want you to meet my mom. You wait
Yeah.
till you meet
Okay.
Betty Jo Gill.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how she makes you feel. And that means I want to be just like her.
Yeah. That's so
So,
special. What do you think? Let's really talk to our Black people now.
mhm.
What do you think it takes? I know you had parents, what about like my parents were divorced when I was 2. My dad left when I was 2.
Okay.
Is my mom, she's working all these different jobs. She's working, paycheck to paycheck, that kind of thing. And so when I look at like here is me telling, just being
Mhm.
vulnerable here. One thing that I learned from my mom was to get payday
Uh-huh.
loans, right? Now, if I were to
Really?
really, because I watched her do it. And so
Okay.
I followed right in her footsteps. It wasn't until I was like early 30s that I went, oh, these aren't so good. For real. And then I watched, some of my siblings, like my brother who didn't really have high aspirations to achieve things, which is why, like, what do you think that ingredient is that allows some of our people to flourish and some who just don't?
Gosh, like what is it like? Are you asking like for as an example, what was it about you in your 30s that made you realize payday loans aren't so good?
No, I'm just all
Or
Black
the
people,
influence of the parents? Uh-huh.
just kind of all of the above. What do you think when you see people that, maybe that we both know, we have some successful friends, but
Okay,
people, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Just what do you think that
This
ingredient is?
that's a good question. And this is what I think it boils down to, honestly. Choices. And the reason it's you have to know who you are, who you want to be, and make a choice to go whatever direction it is that you decide.
Right.
And the reason I say this is because I used to downplay my own success because I grew up with 2 parents, a mom and a dad that were
Hmm.
married for 51 years.
Wow.
My yeah, 51 years. They were remained together until he passed last year. Um, he went to college, so he instilled in us going to college. We were the upper middle class.
Hmm.
And so, because of the way that I was set up, he paid for college, offered to send me to France to college, but I was like, no, I want to stay close to home. I'm going to go straight up the street
Wow.
to University of Colorado in
Yeah.
Boulder. So I'm going to decline that. But can you give me? I'd come home every weekend and get money for the week, and then every semester he'd write out a check. Like I used to downplay my successes because I believe I was in my mind, I was like, I have no reason not to be successful, but I could have thrown all of that away and become a drug addict or done something like that. So I made a
Uh-huh.
choice to do the right thing and can continue on and be what I deem to be successful. Um, and there's people that maybe did not have those, maybe they are single, come from a single parent home and maybe had to struggle a little bit financially,
Hmm.
didn't have the opportunities for college. um, and that makes it harder, and I respect those people that pull themselves up out of that, like Vanessa, who was on a previous podcast of yours.
Right.
Pull yourself out of whatever situation, make decisions to make your life better and to give yourself opportunities.
Mm.
And she's highly successful, and the reason she's successful is because of the choices she made.
Yeah.
So I stopped downplaying my own success just because of what my parents, the opportunities they provided for me,
Hmm.
and to me, I feel like it boils down to choices for anyone. I think Black people, we have some disadvantages that all of us know of, and that we could go on and on and on back, the trickle down effect from slavery and stuff like that. I believe we are at some disadvantages, but I believe that you can make choices to provide yourself and your family with better, a better life, better ways of living.
Yeah, and that's so true.
It's a choice.
It is a choice. Everything is a choice. How we react to things is a choice, because in between a stimulus and a response is what? Choice.
Is a choice.
Everything is about choice. Yeah, I love that.
And it's okay to make a mistake. If you make a choice and you make a mistake, you can still make a choice to recover from that mistake.
Yeah.
So, I had that car accident, and Trey, I don't even know words to like fully encapsulate how I felt. Deflated, defeated.
Of course.
I was going into the fire academy, hired in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Life is going great. I had $5,000 in my pocket. I'm going out to meet some friends, and this happens. Now, I had a choice. I could hang in there and do whatever I could, find the resources to help me to build, to kind of get out of the situation, to defend myself, to, I didn't have a car. So I was like, I need a rental car. The PD department, they, forget the word for it, but basically took my car because it was part of an investigation.
Yeah.
I had to figure it out. So I had a choice: either keep fighting, get to that academy, or I could have gone and been like, you know what, they're gonna let me go any way. As soon as I could have just gone in a room and cried myself to sleep.
So I'm a pivot a little bit. So thank you so much for being so open and sharing. So I want to talk about, again, another part of Kaylyn. When I look at Kaylyn, and I remember the last time, we hung out, and I said, you didn't gain any pandemic pounds like everybody else. And you're like, nope. And I remember the first time our mutual friend Jenny met you, you came in the door, and Jenny goes, damn, I wish my jeans looked like that on me the way they do on her.
Is that what she said?
She did. That is exactly what she said. She was like, wow, pow, kind of thing. So what is it that, like, because obviously you've gone through some stuff, some, very, very pivotal. How do you maintain the high physical level that you maintain, and also emotionally, like, is there a routine, something that you do in the mornings? Is like, how do you prep the day? Because something that I do with my clients is every day I get up and I ask myself, okay, what's my number on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 is I'm dancing on the side of the road and there's no music playing, but I feel good. I mean, you have seen me hang from the rafters where I'm feeling so good. That's a 10. Most of the time, I generate myself up to an 8, 8.5, sometimes 9. Right now, I'm about a 9, right? Because I love doing this. But I don't just roll out of bed and I'm a 9. How does Kaylyn become the Kaylyn who is emotionally well, she's physically fit? What gets you ready to take on your day?
I'm just generally happy. Now, like you, I don't roll out of bed and consider my mood to be in a 9 or a 10. But some mornings, sometimes when I go to bed, I'm like, I can't wait for the freaking next day because I want to do this, this, and this. And I don't know where it comes from, but I think just having all of your circumstances in order helps. Like you enjoying your job. There's nothing worse. I can't imagine waking up and saying, oh my God, I got to go into this fire station today, or I got to go into the office today. Now, let's keep it real. We're all regular people. I'm a regular person. I have days like that where I don't feel like it. But in general, it's just kind of being, it's a general contentment. And then if at any point I don't feel content in something, I just try to figure out a way to make it better. Or I just will tell myself it'll pass. I'll feel better. Let me just do this next thing and I'll feel better. Working out and training, I started when I was 21. And the being on the fire department has enabled me to easily maintain it, because at my age now of 48, I can't imagine going to work 9 to 5, getting off work, taking off my suit,
Yeah.
putting on my workout clothes and going to the gym. There's just no freaking way. So
Yeah.
I understand the struggles those of us, most people have that, don't have the job I have. My job, there's a gym at the station. There's almost no excuses. But
Yeah.
I started working out, Trey, before I was a firefighter, but I was younger, so I had the energy. That's what I did. I went to work, and after I got off work, I went to the gym.
Right.
For me, it's gotten to beyond aesthetics, but I've always been competitive, and so I always try to get better every day. So it feeds my need to be athletic. And then gradually, as I've gotten older, it just relaxes my mind. That is my time in the gym.
I love that.
That is my time. I'm just focused on sweating and feeling my body, feeling my limbs move, feeling my heart pump, letting that sweat just come down. That's my time. And it's just something, it's just in me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad because also as you get older and I'm a medic on the department, you learn the benefits of it. It'll make, as I get older, it makes it's just easier. It staves off so many health issues.
Yeah. Would you say, because not everybody can say the words that you just said, that you get up, you go to sleep, you're so excited. I couldn't say that. Like, I was a high school teacher for 24 years, probably for the first 15, 16, I could say that. The last 8 to 10 years, I wasn't saying that anymore, which was why that was motivation for me to make that jump. Would you say that Kaylyn has created her life by design? These are choices. Everything's a choice, right? Have you been intentional with creating the life that you've always wanted to live?
Absolutely. I met a Black female firefighter. I remember I asked her, she was like super fit. This is a friend of mine, and I can say her name is Lisa Jones, and she's a retired Phoenix firefighter. She was super fit. And so I was super fit, and I was like, hey, so you work out? And she's like, yes. And I was like, what do you do? And she's like, I'm a firefighter. And I was like, a firefighter? So this is in 1999.
Okay.
And I was like, you're a firefighter? And we exchanged information. She let me do a ride along, which people can do on the fire department just with this coronavirus. As soon as this gets over, we'll do more ride alongs. I did a ride along, and I love the fact that every day was different. Like every call was different. And in between, they would train or work out or talk about strategy and tactics, go to the grocery store. I know people have seen us in the grocery store shopping, ribbing each other. It was light. But then when there was an emergency, it was like a well-oiled machine, how they worked together as a team, and they were able to help that person on what we call the worst day of their life. Yeah. When you call 911, generally it's the worst day of your life. And so you're showing up to help them through that catastrophe. I was sold. And so I made a concerted choice to test for Mesa Fire Department after I did my research on which city in the East Valley I wanted to try for. I tried for Mesa. I got on, and I looked at also because even though I was young, I did look ahead, and I was like, wow, they have a pension. I have health benefits. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a pay cut, but I can work overtime. Like I'm real concerted in that. And that's like when I tell you that's the best decision I ever made. At 48 years old, I could literally walk out of the station right now and call it my last day. I'll collect a pension. They have retirement saving plans. I'll get health benefits after I retire. And that's why I want to talk. Sometimes if you see it, you can believe it. Oh. So when I get out of the ladder truck in some of the neighborhoods where I work in downtown Mesa, and these Black kids are out playing in the street or whatever, even the Mexican kids, all the young white girls, they run up. I feel so good, and they're like, "Oh my God, I want to be like you. I want to be like you." I love them.
Absolutely.
Kids. And I don't know what'll happen. Maybe that'll stick with them, and one of them will become a firefighter and get to enjoy all that I have a fun career, of course, with its ups and downs and the things that you see every day, the things unfortunate things people go through, but you're able to help them with it.
Right.
Maybe I'll be able to make the difference in someone else's life, like me meeting Lisa Jones that one day in 1999
Yeah.
and not even knowing, I didn't even know women were firefighters. Maybe I can have that effect on someone, some other little girl. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
hoping to do after I retire. Just maybe speak to
Yeah.
young kids, speak to college kids,
Yeah.
because it's a nice career
So
as
is
a
that
first
is that your
responder.
plan? Like, because some people are like, I just can't wait to retire. I'm gonna buy a Winnebago and I'm gonna get all of the 50 states and I'm gonna put them on the tire on the back and I'm gonna color them in. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing with Joyce. Me and Joyce are going.
Yeah, you're right. That's what one of my friends actually did. She bought a Winnebago.
A
She's a
Winnebago.
retired firefighter. Yep. We went to a retirement party and she showed up with this big old thing. And I was like, "This is where you live now?" He's like, "Sure is.
Yep,
I've
I'm
been
going to see
everywhere."
all the states.
Yes,
Which I
she
love to
is. I
travel
think,
to.
yes. I think I'm gonna take a plane when I retire, but yes, in the interim, I want to be, or I'll jump in a car. I want to
Right.
I had an idea to have a little business called K Speaks, and I would be
Ooh.
able to talk to young kids, to college athletes, to women that are considering jobs in male-dominated fields, um, even to organizations that maybe want someone to come in and talk about teamwork and what makes a
Yeah,
winning team, what creates a winning culture,
I love that.
and just kind of draw on my experiences as a firefighter, um, and offer what I have. My
I love
problem is
that.
my humility. My problem is my humility. So if I
Hmm.
can just believe that do have something to offer, and maybe I can be an inspiration, especially to
You
some
are.
young Black girl, is what I
Absolutely.
hope for.
Yeah. Well,
Then
well, just know
that would be
that
awesome.
you're an inspiration to Black girls who are the same age. So,
Right?
just know that
I
you
like it.
are. Yeah, you are an inspiration. I
Thank you, Trey.
love that. Kay speaks. Let me tell you, I'm working
I
on my
like it.
signature talk right now. We should definitely get together and do some stuff because I think you'll be a powerful speaker. 100%. So,
Oh,
Kay
thank you.
speaks is your second chapter then, yeah?
It might be. It will be. I'm going to do it. I just need to get. I would love to do that. I want to tell you, you're like Barbara Walters. You almost made me cry, and I would be mad to sit
If you
up here.
cry,
Some of our friends would be cracking up.
they
Yes,
would.
I
They
was
would.
like,
I can't believe you
yeah, they
cried.
would. You cried, Kaylyn. I was like, Trey is really trying to pull Barbara Walters, Oprah Winfrey on
Oprah,
me.
right, right, right. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Right. So just a couple more questions before we wrap up. I
Hmm.
love that, and how open you've been with sharing everything. What would you say are Kaylyn's biggest fears? Like, and the reason why I ask that is because I like to lean into, I'm working really hard on facing my fears. Right now, I have two
Okay.
really big ones. One is death. I'm really scared of it
Okay.
because
Uh
I
huh.
don't know what that looks like. The
Hmm.
second one is not fulfilling my potential and taking my dreams and my visions to the grave. Those are
Okay.
my two
I
fears.
I want to tell you one thing: the cojones that it took you to stop being a teacher that you've been doing, you said, for 24 years,
Yeah.
and to go into this, which you clearly have a passion for, and you're talented. I watched some of your first podcasts, which you were excellent in, to some of your more recents, and awesome.
Thank you,
I'm
Kaylin.
like totally serious. I was
Thank you.
like, you on I don't know. It seems like a conversation. I was like nervous as all get out to do this podcast. And I really do feel like we just were sitting around
Right.
talking.
There it
Only
is.
thing we're missing is some tequila. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, good.
Yeah.
As far as my fears, if I'm being really honest, I've always had a fear of getting older. And somebody said, well, it's actually a blessing because what's the alternative? And I don't know why.
So
That's probably
true.
something everybody has heard of, but
Yeah.
I was like, that hit me different. I was like, right.
Right.
So all I can do is take care of myself and and give myself the best opportunity to be healthy into my retirement,
Hmm.
and just trust in, like I said, I trust in God that He will keep me healthy, and if I do get a health scare, to have the strength to uh, to get through it. Like
Yeah.
I've demonstrated to myself, believing in oneself is huge. I've demonstrated into myself with all the other hurdles that I've had in my life. All of
Mhm.
us have. You get past it, and you should uh, give all of us should give ourselves kudos for our accomplishments and getting past what we have, and that's what I need to do. And so
Absolutely.
I've been taking care of myself, so that fear of getting older and what that means for my body and maybe my mind, I need to.
Yeah.
Every day I think about it, and I just need to let it go and just
Okay.
keep setting myself up, making those choices, uh,
Choices.
right? Choices to do the things that it takes to maintain good health.
Love that. So I know that you're looking forward to K Speaks. Tell me a couple things that are
Yeah.
on Kaylyn's bucket list. What else is out there
Ooh.
that you're like, before I die, I got to do these couple of things?
Um, I, because I believe in, I feel like I have a long way before I die, but this job has told me that tomorrow, it's taught me tomorrow isn't necessarily promised, but I want
Yeah.
to travel more and
Mm.
kind of be more free spirited in like my spending, like treating myself more, being kinder to
Mm.
myself.
Okay.
I'm a lot like my dad. It just like I got a plan for the future.
Yeah.
Um, I'm more apt to, have fun, but my bucket list would be like to see parts of Africa, to
Absolutely.
travel more into South America, and being a short timer at work with retirement on the horizon and the option to stop right now, it is so hard. Like
Yeah.
you want to plan a trip, but you're like, God, I got to go to work on Wednesday. It's like a pain, but it's a good pain to have.
It's
I'm
a good pain to have.
grateful for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a specific bucket list because I've been able to do a lot over the years, but just travel more,
Hmm.
spend more time with my friends. I think friendships and relationships are more and more important to me.
Absolutely.
Um, so just being a little bit more focused on that and just being happy and being grateful.
Boom.
Like I just every day I like think about that. Stop being down for menial things. Just be up and grateful.
Yeah.
This coronavirus pandemic has taught me that too.
Nice. I love
So
that. Love that. So you're not on any social media anywhere. Like, it's
no,
like if I didn't
nope,
know you, I know it's like it would be like, I don't know anything about this girl, right? But let's say
yeah.
someone's listening to this podcast and they go, I want to get in touch with her so she can come speak to the youth, so she can come speak to my group of people. How can they contact you?
I guess I'm old school to everybody because I'm not on Instagram, Twitter,
Right.
not even on Facebook. Never had a MySpace account from back in the day. I'm
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I don't have to tell you my age. All everybody can guess it with this. But I can be reached at on by email, specialkgill@yahoo.com.
Right.
Special KGILL@yahoo.com. And my phone number is
Go ahead now.
602-326-0023. It's the same phone number I had since flip phones.
I love
So
it.
I'm reachable that way. So feel
Okay.
free to call, text, or email.
All right, I'm gonna drop that phone number in the show notes. Very cool. All right, I love it. I love it.
Good.
Kaylyn, thank you so much. This has been an absolute blast for me. I've learned even more about you today. And I feel like you really did drop some nuggets for the audience, because just all the things that you've gone through is definitely a testament to the adversity that made you the person that you are today. So thank you so
Mhm.
much for being so forthcoming and so open and sharing that with us.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you, Trey. Thank
Abs-
you.
Absolutely. If you like what you're hearing, and perhaps you're interested in having a complimentary conversation with me, click the link at the bottom of the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. If you even want to know more about what I'm up to, head over to traviastewart.com. And if you like seeing the videos of the podcast, every episode is on my YouTube channel. Take care, guys.